how we are going to use it. Okay, let's even see what these people are going to make use of the money we are giving them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ فِتْنَةٌ. That you should understand that your money, your wealth, and your children, they are all what? Trials. Al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayat dunya. This wealth, these children that we are giving you, they are all adornments of this world, So we should understand that wealth belongs to Allah. We are just khalifa, we are just trustees of this wealth. So that is the point of what Islamic finance. And the goal is to what? Achieve falah in this success in this world and in the year after. When you give charity, you're not just gaining the reward right from this world, you are building your akhirah. So that's what Islamic finance is all about. But it has to be through social justice and what? Equity, fairness. No side has to be cheated. Everybody must be happy with their finances. When we engage in business transaction, all parties must agree to their shares, and everybody must go home what? Happy. So that's the what? Core philosophy and goal of Islamic finance. Now, when we look at where do we derive these rulings of our Islamic finance, is very simple. Quran and Sunnah, the primary source of code in Islam, but sometimes we cannot directly infer from the primary sources. So we have to refer to our secondary sources like ijma, qiyas, istishab, maslaha, istihab, and huruf. So all of these are also being referred back to Quran and Sunnah. Ijma, the consensus of scholars, when scholars will come together, they will try to quote some Quranic verses, hadiths that could they try to extract some new rulings that maybe the prophet or the companions did not mention due to the time they were, because the time changes, from one generation to another generation, things are changing. Qiyas, analogical deduction, and so on and so forth. But I would not like to mention a lot about those people. I can read about them later on. So it's just a preamble to that. So now let's look at the Sharia basis of Islamic finance. The Sharia basis of Islamic finance is from the Quran verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah has permitted what? Trade, but He has forbidden interest. He has permitted trade in the sense that there has to be an asset-backed transaction. There must be a good we are trading on. There must be a service we are providing. And there must be a price for that service. There must be a value. It must be available at the point of transaction. It's not something we say, I have, but you don't have it. You are just selling based on what? Based on, okay, I'll get it later. It's not available now. So we don't sell based on that. It has to be based on what? Buying and selling. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَوْفُوا الْكَيْلَ وَالْمِيزَانَ. That you should give full measure and weight with justice. If you are selling 1 derekah of rice, sell it as 1 derekah of rice. Don't cut it off. Don't sell half for 1 derekah of rice. So these are the, giving full measure for everything. Prophet Muhammad said, La dara wa la dirara. There should be neither harm nor reciprocating of what? Of harm. And the last one is innama, where it says, Inna dima'akum wa amwalakum wa a'radakum haramun alaykum. Indeed, your lives, your wealth, and your honor are sacred to you. So these are some of the Sharia basis for what Islamic finance derived from just the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, the next slide is for us to understand the objectives of Sharia, what we call the Sharia. So where these the legal rulings are being derived from, they are derived from 5. So whatever we are discussing in Islam will always point back to what? To these 5. Hifzul din, hifzul nafs, hifzul aql, hifzul nasl, and hifzul mal. Hifzul din, preservation of wealth, has to do with iman, everything that has to do with tawheed and our spiritual well-being, salat, zakat, everything falls under hifzul din. Hifzul nafs, preservation of life, has to do with, don't kill. you can't, someone can't see the slide. Is it just us, everyone can see the slide? Please, can someone confirm that? What do you say?
I can see.
Sorry,
I think it is his network.
Oh, okay. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. So it also says hifzul aql, preservation of what? Intellect. So Islam wants us to preserve our intellect, to not, engage in intoxication like alcohol, India hemp, and all of those things that will take us from our right sense of belonging. Islam wants us to engage in educational activities. That's why the first Quran verse in Islam has to do with what? Education, Iqra. So preservation of intellect. The fourth one is hifzul nafs, preservation of what? Lineage. That's why, Islam talks about what? Family upbringing, child upbringing, at-talaq, lawful marriage, and all of those rights. It has to be with what? Lineage. And the last one, which has to do with Islamic finance, is what we call hifzul mal. So that's what we are going to for today. Preservation of what? Wealth. We need to protect our property, right? Encourage fair trade and prohibit theft. They're all about. Wala tusrifu innahu la yuhibbul musrifin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want us to engage, to waste our money to use to buy unnecessary stuff. He wants us to develop the society using the wealth He has given us to benefit not just us and for everyone in the society. Now, we need to understand all of these I'm explaining are not investment. They are just the foundation of Islamic finance, which we need to understand before we now go to the investment. Because you cannot invest if you don't understand why you are investing. So now, key prohibitions in Islamic finance. There are three major prohibitions. It's more than this. We can count 20 of them. But the three major ones are what? Prohibitions of riba, gharar, and maisir. Riba is that when anybody says, give me money, if you give me 10,000 naira, okay, I'm going to give you the double tomorrow, or I'm going to give you 15,000 tomorrow. That means that person has guaranteed you your capital without risk. So the person is saying that just borrow me money. So in Islam, any guarantee of capital without you taking risk, because you have to share the risk. You have to share the risk. The transaction has to be on an asset-backed transaction. You must be trading on something. You must be giving somebody money for a reason. So profit should arise only from what? Legitimate trade. You don't just give somebody your money. You ask the person, what do you want to use the money to do? Understand? If it has to do with you getting a return, understand? Because when you are getting a return, it has to be legitimate. Investment or risk sharing activity. So we don't just keep our money in bank and be expecting something that we didn't sign up for. We are just receiving, interest on what you didn't sign up for. There is no trade, there is nothing. They just keep using your money, to do a lot of things you don't understand. The next one is gharar, uncertainty. Contracts involving excessive ambiguity, something that is not clear. Something that is not clear in the contract. We don't even know the subject matter. Kila anta, what are we selling? We don't know. What is the price? We don't know. How is it going to be delivered? We don't know. So all of this, once there is any friends or between two relatives based on an agreed ratio, ensuring fairness and preventing one party from bearing all the risk. So a party cannot bear all the risk. We have to share it. You are either sharing risk in terms of maybe the capital, or you are sharing risk in terms of the effort, workmanship, or the time you have put into that investment. So there has to be a risk every party is into. Asset backing, all transactions must be linked to real identified assets or services. I've mentioned that. Ethical investment has to be Sharia compliant. Whatever you are buying or whatever you are investing on, it has to be what? Purely Sharia compliant. Anything you are doubting, whether it is halal or haram, it is better what? To leave it. It's better to forgo it. إن الحلال بين وإن الحرام بين. The halal is clear, the haram is clear. وبينهما أمور مشتبهات. But in between these things are matters that are what? Doubtful. So when some things are doubtful to you, it's better you just what? Forgo them. Now, let's now look at the growth of Islamic finance all over the world. So if you look at this chart on your screen, if you can't see it, it's better we zoom it properly so that we can see how Islamic finance has grown across the year. So banking sector is experiencing a robust expansion with 17 jurisdictions. So if you look at the top 17 jurisdictions like Iran, Somalia, and Sudan, all the banks there, they are 100% Islamic banks. Like that's what it means. That means all their banking assets is 100% what? Sharia compliance. They don't have any conventional. In Iran, Somalia, and Sudan, 100%. But in countries like Saudi Arabia, they still have some conventional activities. That's why they are 75.3 there. So if you look at the top 17 countries that was mentioned, you can see their rank is their market share is more than 15%. But when you look at Nigeria just when you look down is just 1.3% as at 2024 Q3. That's Q3 of the last 2 years. But when you look at the other charts on your right, you look at 6 years back. If you look at 6 years back, Nigeria has grown up to 21.8%. That's what cumulative annual growth return. So that means Islamic finance is really going at a very fast rate in Nigeria, because for it to be among the top 3 that has grown in the past 6 years is a remarkable achievement. And people are now, speculating and saying that in the next 5 years, maybe by 2030, more banks are coming. Even this year, some banks are going to come into existence, which is telling you that Islamic finance is expanding across Africa, Central Asia, and all over the world. So that's the landscape of Islamic finance in Nigeria. Now let's go to what we are here for, because I know most of us are like, if I invest in, I want to invest. I'm just particular about investments. So here it is, halal investment. So now, halal investment, when we talk about halal investment, in Islam, we have different categories of products that you can invest in. The first one is the partnership-based. The second one is sale-based, lease-based, services, or cloud-based. So I'll be going through this one after the other. So for the partnership-based, which we are starting with, partnership-based is what we call musharaka. Musharaka. I'm very sure for most of us here, this is not the first time we'll be hearing about musharaka. Musharaka, it simply means a joint enterprise, equity participation. When 2 people, they come together and they provide capital, they share the profit according to what? A specific pre-agreed ratio. While the loss is shared according to the what? Ratio of the contribution. So that's what we call musharaka. For example, Abdullah needs money. He needs 5 million to expand his business. Then he goes to the bank. He does not have 5 million, but he has 3 million. Good. He gives the bank, or he tells the bank, oh, I have 3 million, but I still need 2 million to complete my capital to start my business. The company will give Abdullah the remaining 2 million. That means Abdullah has provided 60%, that 3 million. That's why 60% of the capital, and the bank is providing 40%. That's the 2 million the bank is providing. So 60 plus 40 makes 100. So now both of them will now say, okay, now let us agree to share profits at 50-50. Why? Because the company is, or because Abdullah is providing the management and technical expertise. So that's why they are saying, let us share 50-50. They could agree 60-40, they could agree 30-70, anything they agree, fine. So now, if how do they share loss? In musharaka, loss must be shared strictly according to the what? Capital contribution ratio. The capital contribution ratio is what? 60-40. So when there is a loss, they will also share it in that what? In that regard also. So also, so management. So both as regard the management of that investment, both parties have the right to participate in management. So the bank can also wake up and say, oh, well, we want to see where you are putting our money. They have the right to say that also, because they both have a share of capital. So some interesting features of Musharaka is that the product is reserved for the most loyal and honest of customers. So, banks don't like engaging in Musharaka, or maybe some microfinance Islamic banks, they engage in it, but the person has to be very honest, and they will check the background of that person. Is he an honest person? Because it's a transaction that is very, very delicate, and banks have to be careful, or anybody that is engaging in that transaction must be careful. So all assets of Musharaka are jointly owned in proportion to the capital of each partners. All partners must contribute their capital in terms of money or commodity or other agreed assets. Profit fixing is not allowed, but profit sharing must be agreed. So because Abdullah cannot say, or the bank cannot say we want to be receiving 500,000 every month. No, it is only profit sharing based on an agreed ratio. They cannot fix it that we must be receiving this. No, whatever that transaction generates as profit is what they are going to share. It is the least used product in non-interest financial institution. So I've said it before, because of it has to do with what? Honesty of all parties. So that's for what? Musharaka. So the next one is what we call Mudaraba. Mudaraba is a bit different from Musharaka. It's an agreement where two or more parties, yes, they enter into a commercial purpose. So in Mudaraba, there are some terminology we need to know, which we'll call Rabbul Mal. The Rabbul Mal is somebody that provides the capital, and the Mudarib is someone that brings the what? Expertise. You understand? Someone that brings the expertise, that he knows about that business. Maybe he's the farmer. He knows more about what? That business. So that's what we call what? Mudaraba. So between Rabbul Mal, we provide the capital, and the Mudarib, we carry out what? The business. So an example of Mudaraba can be like, okay, for example, Yusuf, he has a brilliant idea for a tech app, but he does not have any money. Okay, he wants to build a website, but he does not have any money. So Zaid, who is his friend, has like $20,000 or 20 million, but he does not have any idea about coding. He just have the money. So Zaid will provide the full capital. He will provide all the capital, and Yusuf does all the work. So if the app succeed, they will split the profits based on an agreed ratio. But if it fails, Zaid will lose all his money. But what will Yusuf lose? Yusuf will lose all his time and effort. All his time and effort he has put into that transaction, because he didn't put money, but he was the one building the app. It was time, it was effort, it took his time. So that's what he is going to lose. That's for what? Mudaraba. So these are the profit and loss sharing. It is important that the parties agree right at the beginning on how they are going to share it. It is not allowed to have different PSR for different situations, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I think I've explained how the profit and loss sharing will be shared between Zaid and Yusuf in their Mudaraba transaction. So the next one is what we call Murabaha. Murabaha. So Murabaha is derived from the Arabic word Rabaha, which means to make a profit from a deal. So in Murabaha, what happens is that sellers' cost of acquiring the asset and the profits earned from it are disclosed to the client. So let me break it down so that we will understand Murabaha. We understand Musharaka. Musharaka, yes, they both provide capital. Mudaraba, one person is Rabbul Mal, the other person is what? Mudarib. Now, Murabaha is, for example, let's say Abdullah wants to buy 20,000, let's say 5 million car, but does not have the cash. So he goes to the bank, or he goes to the Islamic bank, he buys the car. The bank will be the one to go to the market or to the person selling car. The bank must own that car. You understand? In their own name that we have bought the car, they must own that car. Then the bank will now tell Abdullah that we have bought your car for 5 million. But before we can engage in murabaha activity, we want to include, okay, Saidat, someone with, okay, the bank will now say, want to include, let's say, 10% return of investment from this your car, but you will pay it in what? In 2 years. So the bank will disclose what they are adding on that on that car. They will say this is what we are adding: 15%, 10%, 7%. It depends on what the bank used to trade. So it is clear. That's not riba. Some people will say murabaha is more riba. Why are they adding a percentage? No, because it will never change. If it was in a commercial bank, they will tell you that things have changed now. There is inflation, so the 15% of last year is not the 15% of this year. That's what the bank will say. But in murabaha, once the bank says 10%, 10% is 10%. They're not going to change it, and they will allow you to pay it for that fixed period. It can be 2 years, it can be a year, and you'll be paying it on a monthly basis. So that one is allowed because there is an asset, which is the car, and the bank owns that asset. And before the bank even sell it to you, they will collect what we call Hamish GDIA, a security deposit. A security deposit that, okay, let's even see whether this person has money. They can tell you that, okay, you want to buy a car of 5 million, Abi, they are deposit 1 million first. So that's like a security deposit because the bank is going to buy a car, and you can say you're not buying again now. Who is going to incur all the losses? So that's why the bank will call a security deposit. You now start spreading the payments. So it could just be they bought the car for 5 million and they are paying maybe 6 million. So that's what we call what? Murabaha. So let me move on to the slide. So for murabaha, there is a subject matter, there is a pricing, there is a default, there is no repricing. The subject matter has to exist. The bank must own the assets and have either physical or constructive possession. The asset must be tangible, good, clearly identified, quantifiable, and Sharia compliant. So the pricing, that's what we call the asset cost transaction. So parties to the contract agree on the profit rate. The murabaha price may be at the spot or deferred and paid at a lump sum at the end of the contract or in installments. So that's what we call murabaha. And there is no penalty charge. Just because somebody defaults to pay maybe this year or this month, they didn't pay during that time. You cannot say, for not paying, send us 20,000 naira. You understand? You cannot tell the person to pay penalty. If you tell the person to pay penalty, then you cannot regard as an income. You have to distribute that to charity. Anything you earn outside that 10%, your own profit that you have said at the beginning, as maybe penalty or anything, it will be disposed to charity. Because if you say you want to regard it as income, then that is what? Riba. That's how strict it is. And the charity here is not the charity you will gain reward for. There is no reward for it. You don't gain reward on those type of charity. Repricing, you cannot reprice that transaction. So steps of murabaha: you make a request, they will collect what we call Hamish GDIA from you. When they collect, that's like it's security deposit. Then there is an agency agreement. We draft out the paper between the financial institution and the client. The bank will make sure they have possession of the car. They must have possession of that car, and the offer and acceptance between the client and the financial institution. So murabaha is a very good investment that most banks they enjoy because it's kind of how will I say, there's an asset, they bought that item, so it's very flexible, and the banks like engaging in murabaha activities. So murabaha, the use of murabaha is they use it for mostly movable assets like land, car, commodities, household appliance, machineries and raw materials. So moving to istisna. Istisna is different from murabaha. So istisna is saying that, let me give a case study, like you need a delivery van for your business. As we read through this slide, I'm giving a case study. You need a delivery van for your business. So let me put it this way. Okay, let's say like a local community, maybe Oshodi, Mushin, or anywhere, they want to build a new private school for 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 their student or for their children. So since the building does not exist, they can use what is TISNA contract, where a bank or an investor, it will pay the contractor in stages as the walls and roof what go up. So this one is very good. So there are usually three parties: the producer of that item, which can be the contractor in the case of what a building, or the bank itself, who will be what the financial is the one what providing capital, while the customer will now be the one to purchase that project or that asset. So for istisna, is usually used for construction of power plants, factories, roads, schools, hospitals, residential development, things that they require what a development like is not in existence, but we need to now start building it. So we will pay as that construction is going on, or at the end of what that transaction. So that's for what istisna. The next one is what ijara. Okay. So for ijara, which we that is known as what lease. Ijara is the lease of a specific asset or service to a client for an agreed period of time in an exchange for rent, which at the end of the lease period may result in transferring the subject matter ownership to the lessee. So we need to understand that ijara, the building we live in, where we rent our houses, are more of ijara because we are paying rent on them. So the subject of lease must have a valuable use. So things having no useful at all cannot be what? Be leased. So it's just a rental mode of operation. When you rent something, they pay for it and you collect it back. But ijara can also mean lease to own ijara. Lease to own ijara. For example, we have ijara wa iktina, ijara mumtahid bitamlik, or standard ijara. So ijara mumtahid bitamlik is saying that, okay, for example, you need a delivery van for your business. Under ijara mumtahid bitamlik, the bank will buy that van. They will rent it to you. Part of your monthly payment is rent. So you'll be paying monthly payments to them. And part goes towards buying that van. So it's like, as you are renting that van, you are also buying what? The value, the van itself. So maybe after 4 years, the ownership is what? Is transferred to you. So you now own that van. You'll be the owner. So that's for ijara muntahi bitamlik. So you are paying rent, and also you are also buying the right of what? That van. But the standard ijara is just for a specific period. 1 year, 1 year. Yeah, you leave the person house, or you return that item. So that's what we call ijara. So these are some of the conditions for ijara. The clients and lessors enter into a promise to execute an ijara for the usufruct of the particular asset. A lot of them, but because of time, I'm trying to move faster, and inshallah we can get this slide later on. So the uses of ijara: can use ijara for mortgages, vehicle finances, asset finances, mostly immovable items, or for services like medical bill payment, school fees payment, Hajj, airline finances. So that are the uses of ijara and ijara. So it could be an asset or it could be a service you are providing. So that's for ijara. The next one, which is what we call qard. So which some people call it qard hasan, some people call it qard facility. So qard is mean a benevolent loan. So qard is a loan extended on a goodwill basis, with the debtor only required to repay the amount borrowed. So what this means is that if I borrow you 1,000 naira. For called transaction, I am only liable to pay that 1,000 naira. So that's what we call called. It's just a benevolent loan. You pay, okay, well, take this. So the repayment of the loan is obligatory. The lender is not entitled to demand or enjoy any kind of benefits from the borrower on account of the loan. This is because the lender has not undergone any risk. You can see, you just gave me money to use for my personal well-being, but you are not doing anything in the transaction. You didn't put any money. We are not engaging in any transaction. There is no asset. It's just borrowing. So the borrower must make repayment of the lender upon request. Bank, we find it hard to engage in call the Hassan, but many Islamic banks, they give out loan just for the well-being of the society. And some philanthropists, Muslims philanthropists, they also do engage in call the Hassan. So moving faster. Now, these are another interesting parts: mutual funds and stocks. Mutual funds, and stocks, they are so wonderful investments, halal investments, that we can also engage in them. So, some people will be like, what is mutual fund? A halal mutual fund is a professionally managed investment vehicle that pulls money from many investors to buy a diversified portfolio of Sharia compliant assets. So mutual fund is just like mutual fund is just like you have a basket full of different items. In that basket, you have yam, you have rice, you have orange, you have so many items. So that is mutual fund. You have to cook is in that what in that basket. Halal stock is
My eyes are so heavy.
okay. I think someone needs. So we also have real estate, different investments that are professionally managed by some people or some professionals. So another one is halal stocks. The halal stocks are shares of public companies that have passed through specific levels of screening. We are going to screen the business. Are they engaging in what? Halal or Sharia compliant activities, transaction, and also the financial screening, where they are getting money from, how they are using that money. So that's what we call what stock. It's just like you are buying a share from what? From a Sharia compliant company. So it's different from mutual fund. Mutual fund is an investment. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's just like when you put your money in Jai's bank, you put another money in another Islamic bank, in different Islamic bank, and you could be expecting a return from them. Just because you are diversifying what your investments. Understand? So it will be managed by what different professionals. That's what we call mutual funds. Now let's look at the two, so that you can decide which one you will pick or you would like to go for after this webinar. When we talk about mutual funds, it is being managed by professionals. Some people are monitoring it, they are checking in, they have spread your investments. So is the risk is a bit low. But when we talk about halal stock, it is managed by you. And before you can invest in any company, before you can invest in any company, you need to read about that company. How have they been doing? Get their financials. What have they done in the past 5 years? Because you are putting your money in a company that maybe that year they will not do well, but they did well last year. So it is being managed by you because it is based on the performance of what of that company. I hope we can hear me, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
we
We can.
can hear you. But I
Okay.
think Mr. Oyeni need to. Okay, I think he has mute himself.
Okay. Thank you. So diversification in mutual fund, they like one fund contain many assets, many things. But in halal stock, unless you buy more different stocks, so if you buy from this, you buy from that. But if you are buying one, that's why the risk is very high. Effort level, if you look at the effort level in mutual fund, just put your money there, you set it and you forget it. But for halal stock, you must monitor it. You because if it is going down, you just have to withdraw your money. But if you are someone that you enjoy risk, leave it. Because it is going down or their any loss does not mean they will not what earn profits soon. Moderate, the risk level is that halal mutual funds are moderate in terms of, it's not that they don't incur loss. Don't say because I said they are moderate. They incur losses, but because your investment are in different portfolios, so it is moderate. But halal stocks, they are very high. It's very high. If it goes down, it goes down totally. If it comes up like very high. Best for mutual funds is best for what? Beginners or busy professionals. While halal stock is just best for someone who has been investing for a while and he just wants to take more risk in a Sharia compliant manner. So now let's look at mutual fund. This is where it gets interesting. The mutual funds and stocks that you yourself you can buy. Look at the stocks we have there. Dangote Cement, which is doing very well. All these figures I'm providing or I'll be providing is based on last year, 2025 December, what they have made, at the end of the year last year. So stocks are like Dangote Cement, Boa Foods, Jaiz Bank, and the rest of them. So they are examples of Sharia compliant stock. And if you look at some halal funds that you can also invest in, we have Lotus Capital, Halal, you can as low as 5,000, and all of these 10,000, 5,000, they are all Sharia compliant. These are what we call the halal fund. So the one on my right, on my left are stocks. The one on my right are examples of what mutual funds or asset management, Islamic asset management, that they engage in mutual funds investments. Now let's look at more figures to see how all of these are about the cowrie rice. Cowrie rice is just an application that has everything in it. You understand? It has stocks, it has halal. It's not just, cowrie rice is just like a third party where you can engage with all of these things that I'm showing on the screen. They might not have all, but they have some of them. So if you check their share halal investments, if you look at this, the top 15 Sharia compliant performance. As at last year, look at this. So Stanbic IBTC Iman, they made 92.56% at the end of the year. Imagine you put 5,000 naira. That means at the end of the year, you will be getting double of your money, which is close to 100%. It is not fixed. They didn't promise you 92%. Don't get it wrong. It is not fixed, but that's something you can get. ARM, their Sharia compliant stock or compliant mutual fund, they made up to 61.55%. Lotus Halal 35.96%. So this just shows that these are very good investments. Where will you get 61.55 return of investment of your money? Nowhere. But these are not guaranteed. That's what you must understand. They are not guaranteed. It increases. So you need to read about all of these things, study them to know which one you are going to pick. The one at the bottom can be the one performing this year. Maybe you say, this one is 7.39%, the one on number 15. And you say, no, I don't want to go for it. It's fine. But they can be the one championing this year. So that's how it is. But you need to study what the company is doing to understand them better. So, and these are stocks that you can engage in. Jaiz Bank, also they have a stock. They are really going at a very fast rate. MTN is also Sharia compliant. CAP, Boa Cement, and Boa Foods. So, and they also pay dividend. Yeah, dividend. All these stocks, some of them also pay dividend at the end of maybe quarterly or monthly basis. Sukuk, you'll have been hearing sukuk here and there. What is sukuk? So it's what we call bond. In conventional, we call them bond. In Islam, we call them Islamic bond. I need to move now. Okay. So sukuk is often referred to as Islamic bonds, but they are structurally different from what conventional bonds. While a bond is a debt obligation, someone owes you money plus interest. Conventional bond, just give them money. You don't even know what they are using your money to do. They just pay interest. But sukuk, there is a partial ownership in a specific asset, project, or investment activity because Sharia law prohibits riba. So sukuk holders, they earn a share of profits guaranteed by the underlying assets rather than what interest payments. So that's what we call sukuk. So let's move to the next slide. So now let's look at how sukuk has been doing. If you look at the chart, you see the federal government of Nigeria's sovereign sukuk issuance. So right from 2017 down to 2025. So the first series one they engage in, it was 100 billion, and the rental rate was 16.47%. What are they using this thing to do? For national road projects, and they have paid back all the investors who contributed to this project, and the project is successfully matured. So that's as at since 2017. It could be 5 years, it could be 4 years. 2018 they moved to another series, and all these things are used for national road projects, and you can see what they have been doing throughout the years. That means federal government is also aware that Islamic finance is the way. So
Again.
now, moving on, you will see that at the state level, states now are also thinking, in that direction. The first to cook as back as what 2013, Osun State government, which they said, okay, oh, we need 11.4 billion for what? For construction of 11 mega high schools. And now it is completed. They have paid back everyone that invested in that project. Taj Bank, they did the same. Series one, they made a lot from it. And in 2025 last year, Taj Bank also, rolled out another sukuk, and it was oversubscribed. People rushed into that investment. So, but it is a mudoraba sukuk. Sukuk can be musharaka, ijaro, it could be, but this one is mudoraba sukuk. And what is Taj Bank using the sukuk to do? I think they're using it for management of the bank, the management of the bank and stuff like that. So that's why it is in the mudoraba structured. So 20.5%. And those are the sukuk. And I'm even hearing that I read the news this morning that Kogi State too, they want to roll out a sukuk for the construction of their airports and the likes. So everybody now is recognizing sukuk, whether you're a Muslim or you're not a Muslim. Islamic finance now is the way because it's a transaction that is based on fairness, equity, and justice. Yeah. So conclusion: at the end of the day, choosing halal investment path isn't just about, okay, I've done this, I've done that. It's not just about taking your box. It's about making sure your money works as hard for your value as it does for your future. It is pretty powerful feeling to know that your wealth is helping build actual bridges, schools, and honest businesses instead of disappearing into an interest-based backed hole. For the modern Muslims, this isn't about sacrificing profit for faith. It's about peace of mind that comes from the success with integrity. So whatever we are doing, we must remember our akhirah. Akhirah is very important and it starts from the grave. You remember the verse of Allah that talks about riba. So those that they consume riba on their judgment, the way they are going to be raised from the grave are like mad people. So we should think about our akhirah. We should not just think about the enjoyment of this world. So thank you for listening. Jazakumullah khairan. So inshallah, this is where I'm going to close the curtain.
Please, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, now I can.
Okay. So we are going to move into the question and answer session. So anyone that has question, I think it will be best if we have a number of people that wants to ask questions. So our speaker, no, let's just raise our hand. Who are those that have questions? I think someone typed
Uh, we have some people raising their hands up here. Do you permit me to bring them in?
No, no, sorry,
Walaikum
sorry.
assalam, Mr. Adara. Walaikum assalam.
Okay, no, okay. Jazakumullah khairan for the no, please. I want to ask as regard istisna. When you talk about I want to know probably maybe a person that is a contractor. Does it relate to, sometimes they will say, okay, maybe use your fund to do the job, then we repay you later. Does that fall under istisna when you go to the bank? Please, that is one. And I also want to ask about uh, the stock and mutual fund. Is it that when you invest, probably is it that you invest once, then you wait for the 12 months, or you can, is something you can put your money every month, every month, probably January, February, March to December, then you get your return. I want to understand that also. I don't know if my question is clear. That's my question. Now,
Okay, can I quickly answer that? Okay.
You can proceed, sir.
So, okay, thank you. So, when we talk about this now, because you gave an example that, okay, is it when you give somebody money or somebody use their money, they borrow you their money to do something. Usually, it's more than that because istisna is when you go to the bank and tell the bank what you want to do. Okay, you tell the bank or you tell your friend. Okay, let's put it that you tell your friend what you want to do. Your friend has the capital. So now your friend now will now be the one talking to that person that wants to build that property, that wants to build that company. Your friend will make sure he funds that project until the project is completed. And when the project is completed, your friend will now sell it to you on an agreed return of the investment, like maybe a percentage, on an agreed ratio that, okay, oh, this property costed us this 200 million, but we are going to be paying this. So on maybe for a required term, 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year. So there is the legal paper to it where we draft all the legal paper, for both parties. So it's more than just telling your friend to build something using their money. You understand? So and the other part, which has to do with mutual funds, and stocks. Yes, you can withdraw it at any time for stocks and mutual funds. You can withdraw your money, but so there are some mutual funds that they will tell you that minimum of 3 months, minimum of 6 months. While there are some you withdraw them, but don't forget when you withdraw your money, they could charge you a management fee. There is an agreed management fee that they could charge you, and you could be incurring loss if you are withdrawing your money at a very early stage. So mutual fund is something that we can leave at most between 6 to 1 year for us to make a return on it. So it's better if you want to quickly withdraw your money, why not just save it in the normal saving mode, halal. There is no profit on it. And when you want to withdraw your money, you withdraw the exact what you have saved on. So, but for mutual funds, it's better to leave it between 6 to 1 year, or if you are a risk taker, you can leave it 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. Your money is still there, and it is incurring profits as well as what loss along those years. So I hope I answered that question. Okay, please, the next question.
Mr. Dami Ainde, you can talk now. Mr. Dami Ainde. Okay, I don't think he's there. Miss Ayindara Rukoya. Miss Ayindara Rukoya. Okay, Aliko, are you there? You can talk now.
Yes, I can. Salam alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum
Thank you very much,
assalam.
Jazakumullah khairan for the lecture. Like, actually, this presentation, I saw it yesterday night. It was even late at night, so I was very happy. I have interest in Islamic finance because I did my BSc on Takafu, my master's on Islamic online transaction. I use Jumia as case study. So for my PhD, I've been looking for where to dive into. So when I saw this link yesterday, so I was like, wow, alhamdulillah, because I've been looking for institution. So my first question is like, is this an institution for us to learn more on Islamic finance? One, or you're just it is just a seminar, webinar for us to just maybe even want to do any investment like this investment that you talked about. That is the first question. And the second question is that can I have the lecturer's contact? Like, can I discuss with the lecturer one on one? Thank you very much, Jazakumullah khairan.
Okay, I cannot, okay, for this, I can't say a lot about the institute. I think this is an institute that they are here to enlighten us more about Islamic finance and financial literacy. Alhamdulillah, I think this all of their first seminar webinar, if I'm right, and we'll be getting more of this as time goes on. This is a 3-day event for anyone that wants to learn about financial literacy. Alhamdulillah, and also as regard the second question, I can't remember, but I think okay, my contact. All right, inshallah, you can contact one of the um, convener, and they will share my contact with you. So
Okay, thank you very much, Jazakumullah khairan. And another thing is that,
okay,
okay, in this institution, like, are we going to learn Islamic finance like properly, and we're going to get certified for it, and it is monetary? Like, are we paying for the course?
Now,
okay. Can someone
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All right, so as regard the question you asked, sister, our organization is, as we know, is Farah Conflict. So we are actually educating the Muslim community about financial literacy and entrepreneurial skills. So we've had a physical seminar last year and also another virtual seminar last year. So this year, this is our first virtual seminar, and we will be having two more before the year runs out, and we will be rounding it up with a physical seminar also. So as time goes on, just the question, your other question you asked, you said, are you going to get certified? We are not actually doing certificate stuff. What we are actually doing is educating the Muslim community as regards financial literacy in the Muslim within the Muslim community and also the entrepreneurial skills. So I hope I've been able to answer your questions, man.
Yes, you've been able to answer the question. Thank you very much.
All right,
Jazakumullah
yeah.
khairan.
For your from me. All right, so to the anchor person.
Yeah.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum
Uh,
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
okay. Mr. Lawal Oladekon. Let me
Yes.
know.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Now, my question is that as the lecturer was explaining about the mutual fund and the stock, so I was interested, but there is something. how do someone invest in it? Do you go to all these the companies that you mentioned, like the Dangote, the what's it called, the MTN, so many companies like that? Do we go to them that okay, we want to invest in so kind of investment with you? So like I need a guidance on how to start the investment. And the second thing is that I don't know if the lecturer also um is available for some guide, so in case someone wants to invest in this mutual fund or the stock, so like some guidance, further guidance, because now this is just like you know giving us this information that these things are available, but yet how do you study the market? How do you know the right time to invest? How do you know the right amount of money you can invest in different bonds and stocks like that? So all those kind of things. So just a little bit of more clarification on all the matter he has discussed. So
All
I'd
right.
like to know. So
All right.
that's my questions.
Okay. Okay. First of all, I need to clarify that I'm not a marketer of any of these complaints. You
Okay.
understand? So I'm not marketing for them. I'm just showing all of us what is available for us to invest in. But at the same time, you have asked that how do we invest in stocks? So we have brokers. You understand? Brokers are like the middlemen, where, for example, an example of a broker is Afri Invest or Cowrie or PiggyVest. So when you download maybe all these apps, you log in, you will see available options for halal investments. You will buy your share from there. You buy units, we call it units. And that unit is stated for what? A particular price. They could say 1,000 per unit, 500 per unit. You buy it. If you want to buy 10 units, you want to buy 15 units, you buy it, and they will send you some information as regards your investments. And you can always check those applications on how they are doing. Sometimes it could be directly from the company itself, why sometimes there could be a third party like those brokers that they will also take maybe one or two management fee when you want to withdraw or when you are paying. So most times it's better to go through those channel because you can monitor your how your investment is increasing and how it is decreasing. You understand?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay. If you want
All
to
right.
make payments or you want to withdraw, everything is on the all these apps that you mentioned.
Yes, yes, you can make payments, you can withdraw, you will
Okay.
see it there because
Okay.
you,
Okay.
it's
Okay.
just like an application, your mobile, your bank application, where you
Okay.
can.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Because of our time, those of us that still have questions, I believe we are all in the Fala Conclave group. And if you are not, they will drop the group link to the chat very soon. So our advice, the group link is on the chat right now. So let's join there. And please, our main speaker, we like you to attend to the question offline because of our time. So are you here with me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
I should, I should what? I didn't get that.
We want to plead to you to answer to the question offline because of our time.
Yeah, okay, sure, sure, alhamdulillah, it's fine. Sure.
So please, if you have any question and you have not been called, those of us that are raising our hands or those that are yet to be in the group chat, so we can join the group chat to the link that has been dropped here. So let's do it to join. And once we do that, drop your questions there. We'll forward it to the speaker and your question will be well answered, inshallah. So to our anchors, let me hand over to you again. So Miss Badikis, are you there? Are you please round up? So on behalf, before that, on behalf of Fala Conclave and all the committees, we say a very big thank you to Mr. Abdullah Yusuf for giving us the opportunity and showing up for us today. Thanks so much. So, Uncle, you can take over now.
Now, so once again as well, Jazakumullah khairan to our speaker and to everyone who joined us today. And this is going to bring us to the end of day one. So please remember to share your key takeaways on your social media platforms and tag Fala Conclave. So we look forward to having you with us again for day 2, same time tomorrow. May Allah accept it from us all. Now, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Uh,
Walaikum
Before you
salam
round
wa
up, my plea,
rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
before we all go, a second. So as she had said, for every one of us, we are expected of share whatsoever we have learned here today with people outside through all our social media. And if you can, them to also join the remaining days so that they can also learn from it. So just tag us, Falal Conclave, and we promise to also check and drop our own review too on whatsoever you post. So thanks for joining in us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh.